Okay, yeah, that's fine.
There's
I know I
consciousness.
had not seen it that way.
Consciousness. You go to sleep.
No, listen,
you
Andrew.
wake up. Yeah. There's those sort of things as well.
Okay, Andrew, I did not see it that way. So read what's the statement before consciousness is continuous? What's the line before that?
So, especially interesting in the work of Ribot, who had a direct influence on Bergson, Hume, Pound. Consciousness as spectator and condenser of psychic memory. Psychic memory, in turn, is cosmic because nothing that has been can cease to be. That was the bit in quotes. Hence, collective unconscious. Hence, Mallarmé's doctrine of poetry as incarnation, able to raise any kind of experience, simultaneity of all experience, etc. Consciousness discontinuous, but psychic memory continuous.
Ah, okay. Consciousness is discontinuous and psychic memory, so memory becomes the bond, the cohesiveness as a ground. In the sentence before that, Mallarmé discovers consciousness as incarnation. What is it he discovered?
Hence, Mallarmé's doctrine of poetry as incarnation.
Especially interesting, the work of Ribot, who had a direct influence on Bergson, Hume, Pound. Consciousness as spectator and condenser of psychic memory. Psychic memory, in turn, is cosmic because, quote, nothing that has been can cease to be. So see, that mystical statement that nothing that has been can cease to be, Marshall sees as a natural effect of speech. You know, it's not something platonically transcendent. Hence, collective unconscious. Now, that could mean the concept of collective unconscious is a misnomer for what McLuhan says as speech. And then hence Mallarmé's doctrine of poetry as incarnation is an anti-environment to the idea of the mystical idea of the collective unconscious. It's right there in speech, you know, it's not some transcendent thing like Jung gets into. Able to raise any kind of speech, poetry evokes. I mean, language evokes everything. Simultaneity of all experience. That's the Eliot's auditory imagination. Consciousness discontinuous, but psychic memory continuous. Now, you'd have to ask McLuhan. Now, before I say anything, all this stuff, McLuhan told me that this period, late 40s, early 50s, he said it was rather a confused writing. And it is confused because he doesn't have Innes's language. And Innes helps him get out of this, you know, literary bind he's cutting in. He drops these concepts, so to speak. But the point is, you have to know that he was including them in the literate effect. So
the thing, the next paragraph, like that I didn't read before, that we'll just look at now, is possibly points to.
Okay, yes. Now look, aphasia, what he ends up in his life experiencing. Okay, before we get that, he says consciousness discontinuous, but psychic memory continuous. Now that could mean anything. You know, if we project that psychic memory is the citadel of consciousness, that is what's continuous, psychic memory, or consciousness. You know, discontinuous isn't necessarily a bad meaning. It could be good. And it could mean, like you say, going to sleep. It's impossible to determine what he means by this. It's just great to know that he includes these words in his thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's important. Like he had worked his way through these conundrums. Consciousness discontinuous, but psychic memory continuous. What do you think it means? You tell me what those 6 words mean.
Yeah, no, I'm of the opinion that I'd have to go and do a hell of a lot of work to talk about that. Like I'm not familiar with this book, Roots of Bergson's Philosophy. I've had a look at that reference, but it's in a whole argument that I have a difficulty getting my head around. It's they were in a you know, they were still talking in alibis back then. You know, everybody's
right.
talking around and about, and it's a highly charged political situation, and these people in English, they're at the heart of it all, and they've just shipped off all their people into the intelligence agencies and this, that, and the other thing. And so I'm still struggling with that phase.
Okay, the next line where it says Bergson's matter and memory, that's exactly what we have to think about here. What is matter?
Yep.
He's describing matter, and matter, I think, into it is a literate artifact, and he's relating memory to it, and there's literate memory, and then there's acoustic memory. So it's very important. It's almost like the The whole letter is a poetic composition, disguised as ruminations and jottings, but he's almost talking technically here, because the issue of what's matter and what's memory, he names in the next paragraph, is what one thinks about when you're looking at the first two paragraphs. What I'm trying to say, matter is grouping pencils of light. We now know that that's the literate biased version of matter, which doesn't hold anymore. I mean, you've got string theory now, which is showing acoustic space. The resonance of acoustic space is the ground of matter, not pencils of light or luminous points. That's the old literate ground.
Yep.
And so then he's trying to figure out what memory is in relation to that. And Doctrine of Poetry's incarnation is definitely memory as matter through acoustic means, not to literate definitions of matter. Yep. So with that in mind, you go to the next paragraph. It is plain from page 67